definitely why I love light-skinned mommies to this day. Not saying I don't like my brown-skinned mommies or my darker-skinned mommies out there. It's just more so, the Gueras for sure. That's what captivates the eye for me. It goes back to my childhood watching wrestling.
Max was the turnout of my lifestyle. Smoking green, blowing white clouds to build the blue skies. Conversating with the gods by my wildflower to let them know that it's the God's hour. This love's the never-ending saga. Gods by my wildflower to let them know that it's the God's hour. This love's the never-ending saga. Gods by my wildflower to let them know that it's the God's hour. This love's the never-ending saga. Gods by my wildflower to let them know that it's the God's hour. This love's the never-ending saga. Walk through the sands of times like Gara. On the other side of that gad is karma. You wet Prada, the devil like inside your box now. While the angels fly over my headstone.
We are back with another episode of the God's Hour podcast with your boy Big Cerbavelli, back in the place to be, La America Superior, Palace 81 Studios. We are in the building, live in effect, live and direct. Tell a friend, tell your girlfriend for me. It's your boy, Mr. Nine Times. We are back. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. So I have so many fucking God's Hour episodes in the tuck, ready to go, ready for everybody's enjoyment. This is probably like the 6th episode I have in the tuck. I'm already, the timeline is so off now since I'm so ahead of schedule that you guys are probably a month behind by the time you're gonna watch this now. So all I'm doing is pretty much just giving you guys content at this point. There's things that are going on in my life now that you won't get to listen to next episode. So this is something I wanted to do a little different. I wanted to talk some shit on this episode, get my hat in the frame, my big old fucking hat, because I got a big old fucking head. Yeah, so why I thought it was a great idea to start wearing hats again, because not only does it make my head look bigger, it makes everything else look bigger. So, pause. I wanted to celebrate 3 of the finest WWE divas of all time. These women are responsible for why I love Gueras to this day, why I love light skin, my fair skin mommies out there. So growing up, I used to love watching WWE, but there were 3. Actually, one of them is one that I like more so now, but I would see her in like reruns kind of, but that's Stacy Keibler. She kind of already had retired as a diva by the time I got into wrestling. So I think the last time I saw Stacy Keibler on the program, she was managing Dudley Boys, and she took the RKO from Randy Orton at the time when he, I think, had just broke off of Evolution. He was doing his own thing. Is like the fucking camera sliding down? What the fuck is going on right now? Yo, we gonna need a new whatchamacallit? I'm gonna need to put like a pencil right here so this shit don't stop sliding down. This shit sliding down like a fat ass on a stripper pole, bruh. Fucking up the whole show right now. So shout out to Stacy Keibler. She just got into the Hall of Fame, WWE, inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame. She is super fire. Even now, she's like in her early 40s. She's married, and I'm like, God damn it, bro. Why? I'm going to knock down one of these WWE divas that I used to watch one of these days, bro. I'm telling you. But shout out to Stacy Keibler. Don't mean to make this like a fucking the raunchy hour podcast. But she's super fire, right? And I think I've seen her. This shit is definitely going down. It's going down. Meet me in the mall. It's just going down. Anyway. Yeah, Stacy Keibler, I've seen a little bit of her wrestling. She's not the fucking greatest technical wrestler, or she's not like Medusa or something like that. She's, pretty dope. Looks wise. But I would say for sure, like Divas, top three of my childhood are definite. Well, Melina didn't even wrestle too. Like she wrestled, but was she? Oh, she was women's champion. Hold on now. It's kind of hard to bring the timeline in because by the time I stopped watching wrestling, I think that's when they gave her the title or something like that. I hate doing this. I hate looking shit up during the podcast because it kind of messes with the whole thing. And every time I used to just have the Google page open on a new tab, but it always goes to like some other random ass search engine, and I've tried everything to tweak that in my sistema right here, but I can't do that, and it pisses me off. Like, bro, like I thought Macs were fucking hack proof, but it's apparently not. They're not. They're subject to a lot of bullshit right now. Women's champion. Let's see. When did Melina become the women's champion? She's a 3-time women's champion and a 2-time WWE Divas champion. So when I watched wrestling, there was only one belt. It was only the women's champion. So when did the Divas champion come out? She most recently wrestled for the NWA. That don't make sense. I thought the NWA became WCW. And she's only 44 too. Damn. You're on the list too, mommy. Damn. Woo. She was born in Los Angeles. That's what's up. She's a Pisces. That's right. No wonder she's so beautiful. Okay, she was in OVW. She was always fucking Johnny Nitro's girlfriend. Okay. Let me see. Oh, I was just reading right here that she held a press conference and she claimed that Batista had sexually harassed her. I'll never forget that. I remember watching that live and being like, is this fucking real? And then at the time, I thought sexually harassment, like he grabbed her ass. Is that what sexual harassment is? I don't know. Isn't sexual harassment also like you being creepy and saying flirtatious things in the workplace? But I remember when they brought Mark Henry back during the tag team match. Mark Henry aided Eminem in winning back the WWE Tag Team Championships. Henry continued the storyline with Henry continued the next year. Melina announced that Henry was her personal protection against Batista. I remember that. And he accompanied her and aided the other members of Eminem in the matches against Batista and Rey Mysterio. Yeah, I always remember Mark Henry. I always felt like he was a bitch ass Levi for that shit, but it made for a good storyline. I definitely got to go back and watch that story because I watched the whole Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero feud, which after Eddie had passed, they had it's weird because the last, I think, Eddie Guerrero match on SmackDown is him, Batista, Rey Mysterio, and I think someone else. It's like a 4-on-4, like 3-on-3 tag team. But you could tell like they were trying to incorporate Eddie, Batista, and Rey into some sort of storyline. But then when Eddie passed, you could tell they had to take it somewhere else, i.e. being, what is it? Eminem versus the Batista and Rey Mysterio storyline, which I remember, like, I watched wrestling from like 05 to 08, and that's like one of the prevalent. I only really watched SmackDown because Raw, I only watched some episodes of Raw. What is it? Some episodes of Raw that were re-aired on Saturdays. So it was like you could watch SmackDown Friday, and then I think USA played the rerun of the SmackDown taping. And also too, there was another channel that only was in Spanish that they would air that Raw. I don't know fucking Spanish, but in the background you could hear what they were saying. Like they would have the dub over the, like they would put the English commentary. They would put like the whole program, the audio low, and then just dub over it in Spanish. So let me see. I'm just looking at Melina won a Divas Battle Royal by eliminating the women's champion Trish Stratus. The next week, as a part of this new storyline, Eminem kidnapped Stratus, tied her up, and gagged her for Melina, who then challenged her for the women's championship. The two fought at Survivor Series, with Melina losing to Stratus with the help of Mickie James. I remember that bitch was crazy too. I remember her kissing what's her face Trish Stratus. That was another crazy storyline too. On May 21st, 2006, Eminem lost their titles at Judgment Day to Paul London and Brian Kendrick. I think I remember something like that. Let me see. But when did she actually win? Let me see. Melina was involved in Foley's I Quit match against Ric Flair when Flair threatened to hit her with a barbed wire baseball bat, causing Foley to quit the match to save her. Aw, look at that, Mick. The next night on Raw, the storyline had Vince McMahon ordered Foley to join the Kiss My Ass Club. I remember that shit. That shit is wild. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, the Kiss My Ass Club was like Vince McMahon just literally telling everybody to kiss his ass, and he would have like other wrestlers hold somebody to kiss his ass. Literally, he would pull his pants down, his bare cheeks, pause, on live television, and literally somebody would kiss his ass. I remember it was like William Regal did that. What's his name? JR did that. And if you didn't, he would go, "You're fired," and all that shit. Vince was crazy, bro. Definitely one of the craziest heels of all time. So where does he say the storyline had Vince McMahon order Foley after begging? Foley did not go with it. Foley joined the club to save Melina's job, which means he kissed his ass, only to have her suddenly turn on him by delivering a low blow and firing him at the behest of McMahon. Okay, so this is Raw, so no wonder I don't really remember this, because that whole storyline happened on Raw. The storyline was concocted by Foley to refresh the idea of the Kiss My Ass Club, because I guess they had done that before, like in the early 2000s with I know Undertaker was like kind of like the enforcer. So let's see. This is very interesting. This is bringing me back memories of like as a kid, like where this all went. Okay. It was around this time Melina had added another characteristic to her gimmick, screaming loudly along ringside while managing or in tag team action, which became known as the Primal Scream. That's hilarious. Melina became the number one contender for the WWE Championship in 2007 after defeating Maria. Maria was bad too. Any girl named Maria is pretty fire. Maria is actually a common name, but I feel like it's either any Maria you know is like either like a hoe or just really beautiful, or both. It doesn't, either way, Maria's fire. Melina received her title match against Mickie James, which was unsuccessful. After pinning Mickie James in a mixed tag team match, Melina was granted another title match. As part of her major singles push, Melina defeated James to win the WWE Championship on Raw for the first time in her career and became the first woman of Mexican-American descent to win a title, baby. That's what I'm talking about. The feud between the two divas continued, and Melina later retained the title in a rematch during the first ever women's Falls Count Anywhere match in WWE history. Falls Count Anywhere, that's interesting because that pretty much means they can be in the crowd, they can be outside of the ring, backstage, literally anywhere they can get pinned. Which to me always kind of reminded me of like either the backstage brawls or something like that, where they would do spots either by like the Titantron, like, the entrance beginning where they come out of the curtain, or in the crowd, which I think is pretty fire. So she was placed in the angle and she became jealous of SmackDown's Ashley Massaro. Another fine, rest in peace, Ashley Massaro. Peace and blessings. She was another fine mommy too. Who was receiving attention because of her appearance in Playboy. I need to see that. The angle had Melina claim in her blogs that no Playboy cover models were capable of fighting her. Wow, which I don't know. Trish, I don't think she did Playboy. I know Tori Wilson did it. Candice Michelle did it, but I wouldn't look at them as like wrestlers. Like they were more so divas, like, you know, just eye candy in the ring, things of that nature. This resulted in scheduled matches against former Playboy cover girls Tori Wilson and Candice Michelle, with both women losing to Melina. The storyline came to an end in WrestleMania 23, where Melina pinned Ashley in a lumberjill match. What the fuck is that? To retain her women's championship. After WrestleMania, Melina organized a photo op with the women's championship belt in the ring, but was interrupted by Mickie James, resulting in another storyline feud between the two divas. At a house show, Melina lost the women's championship in a triple threat match to Mickie James when James pinned Victoria, which I thought she was cute. I didn't think she was all that. But on the orders of Jonathan Coachman, she was entitled to a rematch on the same night where she pinned Mickie James by putting her hands on the ropes to regain the title and became a two times winning WWE Women's Champion. So yeah, I could get way more into this, but you get the point. You know, I don't want this to fucking go all day with it. But Melina was definitely fire. But when I definitely Trish Stratus, Melina, and Candice Michelle. Candice Michelle was so fine to me. She was bad as fuck. For sure, Trish Stratus was definitely like for sure the mommy of the time of Serbs' time watching WWE. I thought she was really fine, and I thought she was the best wrestler for sure. Like I think some of the best wrestlers weren't even like that cute. You know, Lita, she had big titties, but I thought she was a good wrestler, but she wasn't that as pretty to me. Victoria, she was a good wrestler, same thing. Mickie James, she kind of like was a good wrestler and she was cute. But definitely more so the eye candy. Tori Wilson was fine. Candice Michelle, Stacy Keibler, Trish Stratus. Definitely why I love light skin mommies to this day. Not saying I don't like my brown skin mommies or my darker skin mommies out there. It's just more so, you know, the wet eyes for sure. That's what captivates the eye for me. It goes back to my childhood watching wrestling. And I'm like watching the documentary on WWE with like the WCW, WWE Monday Night Wars. Phenomenal. I'm always interested. I've always loved history, but as of recently, I've got more into wrestling and more so like I've always thought like where does Sting come from? Like just looking at the action figures, I always thought where does Sting come from? Where did all these other wrestlers come from, like Ric Flair and all that? Because if you pay attention, Ric Flair came out of WCW, like he was the guy. But by the time he came to WWE, he was an old man, but they would always boast, like Ric Flair, the 18-time world champion, all that. And you're like, when the fuck did that happen? You know? And so I was always curious as to who these wrestlers were. And so now that I finally can go back and watch wrestling all the way back to fucking like when it started type shit, I can actually see that, oh, Ric Flair was like one of the greatest heels. He was one of the best champions to ever do it on WCW, as well as Sting, the Giant, who became the Big Show, Booker T. A bunch of people from WCW came from WWE, and a bunch of people from WWE went to WCW in the 90s. Bret Hart, Macho Man, Hulk Hogan, not Honky Tonk Man, what's his name? The dude with the microphone, Jimmy Hart, Gene Okerlund, Dusty Rhodes. A shitload of people went to WCW after kind of like either it was probably a combination of like they were fed up with WWE and like they had new opportunity going into WCW. So now I'm like super big like into that. I mean, I've kind of like been anyway, you know, you see me talking about it. It's just interesting to me that I like go back and do the history on it because it's fascinating to me. And you see like how WCW and New Japan was around. So you see people, Japanese wrestlers like Ultimo Dragon and a few other wrestlers I can't name off the top of my head now wrestling in WCW. Chris Jericho came from WCW, probably my favorite wrestler to come from there for sure. He was just real charismatic, and he was a good heel, but I feel like it didn't matter if he was a heel or a face to me. It was like Chris Jericho, kind of like The Rock or Stone Cold. Like, you cheered for him either way it was, you know what I mean? He was just fire. Like, Chris Jericho was a crazy performer that every time I look back, and when he won the Undisputed Championship from The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, I think the way they did it was kind of, it wasn't, like, for me, it wasn't that cool. Meaning, I think the way Chris Jericho won the titles was by interference, and I don't ever want the champion to win because someone else interfered into the match. Like, heels can do that because they're the heel. You're supposed to hate them, but if they're the face, if you're trying to make them the face, a victory via interference isn't cool. Like, I think that happened with Eddie Guerrero when he won the title. Goldberg came in and speared and jackhammered Brock Lesnar, and then Eddie hit him with the frog splash and he won the title. That's dope, but I feel like that what you're saying is Eddie couldn't have won it by himself, and I don't like that at all. Like, what are you trying to imply? Like, this fool, he couldn't do it by himself? Same thing with Chris Jericho. I don't know if because he beats The Rock and then Stone Cold comes in, but it's like Stone Cold, there was interference from somebody, and that's how Chris wins too. So for me personally, I feel like it robs the wrestler of actually attaining the title by their own means. And I feel like that really dampens down not only the match, but the legacy and what the title means. Because from now on, when they go to and they're the champion now, it's almost like if they're like a fake champion, or like they got in like a coup d'etat or some shit like that, you know? You're not like a real champion versus like Brock Lesnar. He destroyed everyone and he pretty much demolished and ran through everybody, and they made him like this crazy heel that was like a freaking killing machine tank type thing, you know. So it's just different for me when they do that. Now, if they're a heel and they win it, yes, that's what heels are. They're the bad guys. They win by any means necessary. They result in dirty, low hanging fruit type tactics to win the titles. That's why they're the heels. That's why we love to hate them, because it's like, oh, fuck you, like, you're a bitch, and that's the whole get down. But if you're a face, that never happened to John Cena, the biggest face of the company, for like, he never won by interference. He was always kicking ass, and he earned that shit. Like, he was like played by the rules, by the book, and he was kicking ass and taking names. Like, that's why you love John Cena. Eddie Guerrero and a few of these other wrestlers that won by that got help and won, it's like you rob them of being that, of having that reputation, you know what I mean? And especially Eddie Guerrero, because he wins the WWE Championship in fucking 2004 and 2005. He passes away. So you already, and they've already said that they were going to do more shit with Eddie Guerrero, like have him, and actually right here, you can see I have Eddie. Boom. Viva la raza. Dun, 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 dun. Hey, Holmes. Shout out to Eddie Guerrero, man. I need to buy this figure again, because this shit is all like fucked up, got cobwebs on it and shit. I already know my wrestlers are getting baked over here. I gotta go put them somewhere else. But what was I gonna say? So yeah, I'm super big into wrestling, and I loved Eddie Guerrero for fucking his whole wrestling career. Rey Mysterio too. Stone Cold, I wasn't around. He was before my times. Carlito was a really good heel. Shelton Benjamin was a really dope wrestler. I have them all right here on my window. So yeah, man, just getting back into that. So me and my dad, we went to the range, and it was so fucking awkward. This is when I was on vacation, And we have all our fucking guns. We have all 9 of our guns with us. 9 or 8. So we have, at this point in order, we have the Glock 19. What did my dad buy? The CZP-01, the Burst of Firestorm, the SIG. Fuck, I'm drawing a blank over here. The M1A, the Beretta FS92, the HK416. We brought the AR7, which took a shit on us. And I'm missing one. Fuck. Oh, and the Ruger 5.56. So yeah, 9. We have 9 in total. But the the AR7 is a survival rifle. You pretty much have those in like survival kits around the world. They're pretty much like, if anything happens, God forbid, your helicopter goes down and you got to survive on your own, it's pretty much like a varmint rifle. You shoot rabbits, whatever it is, raccoons. It's just a varmint rifle for you to kill small animals and eat them if you're like stranded somewhere and you don't have any means of going to like a 7-Eleven, right? So we brought all those guns with us. We're shooting normally. We're having fun. My dad bought a red dot sight for the HK416, which makes it look all fucking tactical. Looks like something out of Rainbow Six or some shit. So we're shooting it, having a good time. The HK416 is an amazing rifle. It's a 22 AR, and the AR7, it was jamming on me like it would before. I definitely got to research why it does that. I had a feeling. I'm thinking it's due to it being not cleaned. I'm pretty sure it hasn't been cleaned since '87 or whenever they got the rifle. But it kept jamming on me. Like it's a bolt action semi-automatic. So you put the clip in and you rack the slide. And sometimes I would know it was firing good for like one magazine, but what I was noticing is it would fire and the shell would get caught in the slide coming out, and that's a big. I have something in my fucking mouth. What the fuck is going on? Pause. Jesus Christ. I noticed that when it would fire, the shell would get caught in the slide. You definitely don't want that. If your life's dependent on that rifle, there your ass was right there with the fucking shell in the slide. So that was happening. The shells would get caught in the slide. I have to rack it back. And then when I would let the bolt go, the bullet wouldn't go into the chamber. It would go to the side, so it would smash the bullet, and you could see the 22s are fragile. This wouldn't happen with a 9 or anything else. The bullet would literally bend. It would smash against the chamber, the side of the chamber, and you couldn't, like, there went a fucking bullet, So it was frustrating me. I want to take it apart, clean it, see what's going on, see if that helps, take it back to the range and see what's cracking with it. But while we're having fun, while we're shooting, I have probably shooting one of the pistols. We have it's me. There's a chair in between us, and it's my dad firing the Ruger 5.56. And I empty out the magazine, and I tell my dad, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna reach over and I'm gonna grab another magazine he's like right next to the chair. So let's just say right here is where he's firing. I'm like reaching over. I'm like, don't fire. I got to get another magazine for the pistol. And, so I go to, I don't know if he wasn't paying attention or whatever, but as I'm going, he's like, literally my head is next to the rifle and he fires it. It was so fucking loud. I was afraid I was going to lose my hearing like that one time when my dad was showing me the Daniel defense and I let the the slide go on the release, and it fucking my right ear went out. It's the same ear that went over to pick up the magazine, and he fires the rifle. So I get furious, and I tell my dad, I was like, yo, what the fuck, yo, like, I just told you don't fire the fucking magazine, bro. Like, my head is right here. And he starts laughing at me, which made me even more pissed. I'm like, yo, you think this is funny? Yo, give me the rifle and you put your head right here so I could shoot it and see how you feel. And then right then and there, my dad fucking flips out on me. He's like telling me all kinds of shit, just basically unloading his anger on me. So literally that killed the whole vibe of shooting. They always tell you, they don't always tell you, but an old school rule of shooting, anything of going to a range is do not come if you're like, oh no, that's at work. They tell you don't come in if you're emotional because you're not thinking straight and you're going to fuck up somewhere. So that's what happened, and it killed the whole vibe. And we had everything loaded on the table. It takes like 20 minutes or something to unload all the magazines we have for the rifles and the pistols. So my dad, he's talking all kinds of shit to me, and he's just like, and I'm ready to leave. Like, I'm just like, you know what? I'm packing everything up. And he was like, no, like, empty everything, like, have fun, like, you know what I mean, like, we're here all about you and shit. And my dad always loves, when he's mad, he just loves talking all kinds of shit and just saying whatever, like, oh, it's all about you and all this shit. Like, bro, like, you did an unsafe act and I got mad, and then now you're mad because I got mad. Like, come on, bro. Like, to me, that's fucking lame as fuck. Like, how are you gonna get mad because someone else is mad because of some shit you did? Like, that's the most ridiculous shit I've ever fucking had to deal with in my life. So it was just super awkward. And for those of you out there, man, like, definitely don't shoot if there's something going on, if you don't feel like 100% and all that, because that's how my dad is. Like, he's a person that just holds everything in and he'll explode on you. Like, he'll hold everything in, and like a volcano, it'll just come out of nowhere, where you'll literally be like right there, like, where the fuck did all this come from? Like, we just, you know, they ordered you the wrong chili cheese fries or something, and you just blew up right now. I've seen it happen, like, random places where it's just like, how do we get to this point where you just blew up? But you didn't know that days and days leading up to this, you know, either my grandma was talking shit about something happened at work. So he harbors all that. And that's why it's very important for people to get that out, health, like, get all the emotional shit you're dealing with and have a creative outlet for that. My dad doesn't have that. He's always stressed out with work and whatever else he has to do business wise. Like, my dad doesn't have, the only thing really creative, the only outlet he really has is shooting with me. So I could see why he got all mad, because that was like his only time to get all that energy out. But instead of doing that, he like erupted like a volcano and just talked all kinds of shit to me. And it's like, bro, you didn't got to do that, bro. Like, I really feel like my dad needs a good hobby that's not expensive as shooting, something like painting or cooking or baking or something like that. Something, bro, because that really scared the shit out of me, bro. Like, you know, when your dad just talks all kinds of shit about you when, you know, he was in the wrong, that's kind of like, I don't know, Pop. That was wild. So I apologize to yelling at my father, you know. Not even more so because I was sorry, but just because, like, I was more sorry because of, like, all the shit he's dealing with, you know, he has to deal with. And I was just telling my dad last night, like, I did an interview with the homie Advis. I'll get into that next episode. But basically, I was talking to him about how men, they can't be emotional, and how women are emotional, and that's like socially acceptable. That's how we're brought up. And that's really my father. Like, no signs of weakness. My father's like a real man's man type shit, where he's like, you won't see him cry. I've only seen him cry one time in my whole life, you know, versus my father. He's seen me cry 1,000 times, you know what I mean? Because I know how to, you know, I know how to get it out. You know, a lot of people, they don't know how to get it out in it. And you could tell it takes a toll on them, and they go out and they do stupid shit, whether it be drinking all night or drugs or whatever it is, criminal activities, or just doing dumb shit or treating people like assholes. That's why we have narcissists out there, because they don't know how to express themselves correctly, so they become a shell of who they are. They're just walking around like this fucking pussy. And a lot of people are living like that, man. So regulate your emotions, man. It's okay. It's all right. You could cry. You could feel whatever. Well, you know what's not cool, though? Is disrespecting people and just being an overall asshole to like whoever and talking shit behind other people's back. Whatever it is, bro. Like, all that shit ain't cool. Like, when, like, that shit was never, you never got no brownie points for that shit. So take care of yourself, man. Just, it ain't a big deal, bro. Like, life is gonna fucking be life. It ain't gonna be easy. It ain't gonna be that hard. You know what I mean? Like, as long as you find the right balance in your life, life is gonna be smooth. It's just all about how you handle life. You know what I mean? That's just how I feel about it. Let me get a sip of water right here. I'm talking too much shit over here. Let's go with this right here. I want to get this out of the way. Busta Rhymes did an interview on Hot 97, I believe. He was talking about how Rock Marciano is like the king of the underground. And I didn't really understand it. I'm thinking from a popular perspective, like, no, it's pretty much West Side Gun, which he kind of is. Like, West Side Gun has been running this underground shit, but I wouldn't go as far as to say as Rock Marciano was the king. I would say Rock Marciano was definitely the pioneer, one of the pioneers of this underground hip hop sound. I'll definitely give him that. But to say he's the king, like he rules this shit, is definitely taking it a step too far. I'll definitely say he's the innovator, one of the first innovators and pioneers. And I seen this video. I don't know his name. Shout out to him, but he did a breakdown of why Rock Marciano is, like, from a sonic perspective, from like the bare bones raw loop sample sounds he was doing to just his first album Marsburg being like the influence of everything that's going on now. I respect that. I see that. But a lot of what Rock Marciano was doing had already been done before. That's why I agree, but then I disagree at the same time, because it's like Rock Marciano was kind of like the first to usher in this underground new boom bap wave that's kind of been dominant for probably the last 10 or 13 years. But when we talking about people who, like, now in the underground, people are going back to being like fly, grimy, more like boom bap, you have to give that a West Side Gun. Not saying that Rock Marciano, not to knock him, it's just like I feel like we have to give it a West Side Gun, which, you know, Busta Rhymes is really cool with Griselda and shit. That's why I was kind of like, why would he say that when he's like really close with all of them? You know, I really dig Rock Marciano's music. I really do, up to a certain point, up until Behold the Dark Horse. Then after that, it was kind of like, I don't know what this fool was doing. Like, I don't understand his music after that. But definitely, like, Rock Marciano never had a show where he had fucking Raekwon, Prodigy, and whoever else. Like, there was a bunch of big hip hop artists that came to the Webster Hall show with Griselda, and that was like a big deal. It was a super big deal for the culture. Rock Marciano never had that. He was always like a lone wolf type shit. Somebody's dropping a package off. That's right. I might run over there and boot bob somebody in the face. They ever come and try to take my shit. Sometimes when I get packages, bro, I'll be coming home from work. Like, they never send me an email. They're supposed to send you, hey, you know, we got your package. It's been delivered. Sometimes I'll come home from work. It's like 10 o'clock and my package is like fucking ripped open. I'm like, okay, how the fuck long has this been here? You know what I mean? Like, they should have told me like when they dropped it off, but they never do, of course. They never fucking do. going back to just to finish it off, I have much love and respect for Rock Marciano, but I don't believe he's the king of the underground. I will give him that he's the pioneer, sort of like either Nujabes or fucking J Dilla, like somebody who was a prominent artist. But a lot of artists that are running the underground now are a little inspired by him, but it's just somewhere else. Like if you have to weigh Marsburg versus, which is Rock Marciano's debut album, versus Westside Gunn's debut album, Fly God, they're night and day. Marsburg is real. Marsburg is a very, I don't want to say simple. I don't want to be disrespectful. Marsburg is like a fucking like a boom bap, you know, a real like old to like the old school, but like ushering in like this kind of a new wave, right? Versus Westside Gunn's Fly God. When I heard it, I was like, there's nothing out there like this. Like just from the samples, the soul, the fly grimy grittiness of it all. It changed the whole fucking game. Fly God is one album that if you look at every album after that, had to follow the lead. Westside Gunn has been playing follow the leader for a long time in this culture, for years. So you have songs that is crazy like Over Gold. You have fucking King City, the outro with A.A. Rashid. Shout out to him. Some of my personal favorite tracks, the God Fahim produced. I forgot that fucking joint. That might have been King City too. But just Fly God was really the passing of the torch, where or maybe even better, Westside Gunn just took the reins for the culture and said, I'm the hero, or I'm gonna take this culture to where it needs to be, and that it hasn't been for a long time. That's what I'm trying to say. Like Rock was around, but he didn't get the big, he didn't have that big movement behind him. It was like Rock, like he's one person, versus Griselda. You had Conway, Benny, Westside Gunn, and then when they ushered in the Black Soprano family, you had El Camino, Rick Hyde, Stove God. Like it was a whole movement. Now you have Armani Caesar, Rome Streets, Boldy James. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to knock Rock Marciano. I'm just saying right now Griselda runs this shit and has been running this shit for years. For years already. There's no debate. And, you know, I love Busta Rhymes. He's supposed to come out and say, you know, Rock Marciano is the fucking godfather of all this shit. He's supposed to say that. They were artists. That Rock was his artist. He's supposed to come out and say that. I'm glad he said that. But you know what, Busta? I'm going to have to disagree with you on that. You know what I mean? Message of the day. Message of the day. Do we even have a message of the day? I feel like I already talked about the message of the day, just being like, you got to get yourself together, man, because it's really important that you find outlets of creativity, because you're just going to be this person. You're just going to be a shell of yourself. That's why people, I always see them at work. They're always fucking down and out. They want to look at you in the eye. I'll literally tell people, I'll be like, what's up, bro? They'll be like, not much. Like, you sound like a fucking weird, like, to me, you just sound like a sad, bruh. And that's how a lot of people are. A lot of people in this world, they're just depressed on social media. And that's why there's a whole lot of negativity, because people aren't right with themselves. That's what a lot of it is. A lot of people are living this life. They're living, but they're not living. You know what I mean? Like they're existing, but they're not living. There's two different things. You can exist, but to live life is to be happy and do things that you want to do. And with that, this is the God's Hour.
Merge Max was the turnout of my lifestyle. Smoking green, blowing white clouds to build the blue skies. Conversating with the gods by my wildflower. to let them know that it's the God's hour. This love's the never-ending saga. God's by my wildflower, to let them know that it's the God's hour. This love's the never-ending saga. God's by my wildflower, to let them know that it's the God's hour. This love's the never-ending saga. God's by my wildflower, to let them know that it's the God's hour. This love's the never-ending saga. Walk through the sands of times like Gara. On the other side of that gad is karma. You wet Prada, the devil lay inside your box now while the angels fly over my headstone.